This is Sports Shorts Radio. It's the fastest 2 hours on the radio, covering it all from the Fighting Tigers of LSU to the tracks of NASCAR on 104.5, 104.9 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now, here's Ronnie Rance, Joel Davis, and Buzzy Heidel.
And welcome, everyone, to Sports Shorts. Ronnie Rance here with you. Joel Davis on the phone. We'll have some special guests here for our edition of Sports Shorts TV, presented by LeBear's Casino. And what a weekend it was for football fans in the state of Louisiana. We had some elation and some heartbreak. A number of teams competing for the championship Saturday, we called it. We had LSU in the SEC championship. They bring home the title in dominating fashion over the Georgia Bulldogs, move all the way up to the number one team in the land, according to the playoff committee. But everybody else in the state of Louisiana took it on the chin. The Southern Jaguars losing the championship of the SWAC. Raging Cajuns with a valiant come-from-behind effort, come up one touchdown short on the road at Appalachian State, but they'll be in a bowl game over in Mobile, taking on Miami of Ohio, January the 6th. And then Southeastern and Nicholls State both lose in the second round of the old Division I AA playoffs, but had great seasons, but got pounded in the second round of the playoffs. So only LSU and the Raging Cajuns are left to battle in playoff action down the stretch. Let me bring in Joel Davis, my normal sometimes host on Sports Shorts TV and radio, joins us. And before we talk New Orleans Saints, let's just start off by being positive. This is positive Sports Shorts with Joel Davis. JD, so LSU, only a touchdown favorite against the Georgia Bulldogs. And this is one of the rare times this year, maybe one of the rare times in the last 3 years, Joel, I really like the Tigers. I felt really good about LSU. Actually, that by the time kickoff came, they were an 8-point favorite. I laid the action not only on LSU to beat Georgia by more than 8, but I also took under 24 on Georgia. So one of the few days, Joel, I came out ahead, feeling really good about myself, and I knew what it was like to be Jimmy the Greek.
Okay, so let's start off by calling out people who need to be called out, okay? Let's just start off there. Congratulations to the LSU Tigers. I'm super happy about that. Can't be more excited.
So much for positive start to the show is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not who I am, but let's go straight negative. Terrence Marshall's got to make that catch, Ron. Got to make that catch.
Yes, he does.
Excuse me?
I said, yes, he does. I mean, it was.
Got to make that catch, man. That's a touchdown. You can't miss that. I'm just kidding, man. Look, the LSU Tigers have done everything they possibly can do to prove that they were the number one team in the country. And thank God that the committee decided to do the right thing. And, it doesn't really matter. You still got to go win, right? You got to beat Oklahoma, or you got to beat Clemson, or you got to beat Ohio State. You got to beat these guys to win a championship. You got to at least beat 2 of them, right? So, it doesn't matter whether you're 1 or 2. I'm just glad that they did put them at 1 because they earned it, right? They earned it on the field. They earned it with all the top 4, the top 10 wins that they've had throughout the season. Just a gauntlet of a schedule. To play Georgia. Fortunately for LSU, they were able to catch Georgia at a time when Georgia really wasn't at full speed. And that's a blessing. That's a blessing for the LSU Tigers that they didn't have to go in there and, potentially get it in a dogfight on basically the Bulldogs' home turf in Atlanta. It worked out well for them. And they were able to come out of that game fairly healthy, and they can now take, 3 to 4 weeks to prepare for what's next. So congratulations to the Tigers. They are a championship organization. It's been since 2011 since they won an SEC championship. They earned it on the field. Coach O deserves this. I mean, can you look at this guy's life right now, Ron? Think about where Coach O was just 3 years ago.
He was Monday morning, Thursday. Was it Thursday mornings? Tuesday or Thursday mornings with Collada and the Prince. That's where he was 4 years ago.
It's unbelievable. And Derek Panansky was right there with him.
Well, he was the Prince, Joel.
He was the Prince.
Yeah.
And congratulations to D for getting on them coattails and riding to a potential ring.
Yep.
I mean, he's got an SEC championship ring that Nobody else at Guarantee Broadcasting has. Nobody.
This is
I don't
true.
even think Gordy has one.
No,
So,
Matt.
and he played for the Tigers.
Yeah, I don't know if he was. Well, I think he was on the
I don't think
80.
he got one.
No, I think they got one in 88. I think he
Did
got
they?
one. Yeah. Or
I
87.
guarantee it's not as cool as the
88.
ring finance he's going to have, though.
Ah,
Dave.
the
This
Gaudy
thing's
now.
it's going to look a little bit similar to what the Patriots have, I'm sure.
Do you think that
after
players are going to get Heisman rings? You think they get Heisman rings?
all of them, or just,
I don't know. Offensive players? I don't know.
I mean, I think the offensive
Heisman
line should
watch?
definitely
I mean,
get a
there should be
Heisman.
something, right?
I mean, receivers. I think anybody that's played a part of, and that would be the team. Whether it's practice on Saturday, during the week,
Right.
Preparing, getting Joe Burrow ready for, defensive players, getting Joe Burrow ready for what he may see. I think that. No, they're not going to get a Heisman ring. They'll get a lot of pats on the back. That's for sure.
I think when
from
Joe,
Heisman
saw, after the championship game, hopefully in New Orleans, then Katie bar the door, right? Then it'll be okay for Joe Burrow to get monies from every kind of way under the sun. I would be willing to bet, being that we now know he's going to be a top, 2-3 pick in the
he's
NFL
gonna be
draft.
the number one pick, Ronnie.
But we're going 1, 2, 3 doesn't matter.
Unless the Bengals trade out, he is the number one pick.
Sure.
Dude, there's no chance on this God's green earth.
It's
well,
the
it is
Bengals.
the Bengals.
Yes,
it's
the Bengals.
It's the Bungles.
Right.
The Bungles.
But
I mean, he's a Ohio boy.
Chase Young's an Ohio boy too, and he's a once-in-a-generation defensive player. So, and look, Reggie Bush looked like he was going to go to the Texans, and they took Mario Williams. So nothing's a done deal. But my point is that whether he's first, second, or third makes no difference to the point that I'm trying to make, which is he's going to be a multimillionaire, and I'd be willing to bet some gifts are coming the way of his teammates when he wins the Heisman or whatever the case may be. Whether they're
Ronnie,
Rolexes
the
with
never has to
logo
play
on it or
down
whatever.
of football again to enjoy the rest of his life and the fruit of his labor over the last 2 years. Literally, he does. I mean, of course, it'd be great to he could blow out his knee.
Yeah.
And never play another down on the first play. And God forbid. I mean, Joe Burrow has set his life up to be, a public speaker, a politician, whatever he wants to do in the state of Louisiana. The dude's going to be filthy rich, whether it's speaking engagements, whatever it may be. He is set for life. Now, obviously, he wants to get that first contract and be drafted. But even without that,
Right.
the dude is set for life.
Right. It's like Buzzy Heidel winning the national championship in 2009 with the LSU baseball team. It just set him up for
A little bit
for
different.
success.
A little bit different.
Talking with Joel Davis here on Sports Shorts TV and Radio. We'll visit with Trey Ledbetter of Southern Fundraising, who kind of peek behind the curtain a little bit of what is to come for a guy like Joe Burrow after the national championship game in New Orleans, and what some off the field income and things like that can look like. So we'll visit with him a little bit later. So LSU, I was surprised. I was genuinely surprised that LSU was the number one seed. I had it going in. I'm standing there in the lobby of the Hyatt in downtown Atlanta. As Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott, all those guys are there, and we're watching the selection show. And I probably in my mind had it 60-40 that LSU would stay the number 2 team. And because I thought Ohio State was super impressive in the second half, and I just didn't think the committee would would flip it. I'm glad they did. And how about this? Not only does Ohio State go from 1 to 2, but they're now technically an underdog in Vegas against Clemson. They're getting a 1.5. Clemson's a 1.5 point favorite against Ohio State as a 3 seed.
I'm shocked to hear that you felt that Ohio State would remain at number 1. The backlash would have been just incredible, Ron. They beat the current 4 of the top 10 teams in the country right now: Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, and I'm missing one there.
No, I understand the resume. Heck, they beat 5 top 10 teams, top 10 teams based on when they were ranked. But
Florida.
I mean,
but dude,
I'm glad LSU was number 1, but I didn't think they'd flip
it. Ohio State hasn't even beaten one. There's not one team in the top 10 that Ohio State has beaten. None. Not to mention Cincinnati, the team that the committee was hanging their hat on 2 weeks ago, is not even in the top 25 anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So who did they beat? Who
Penn State.
They beat Penn State, and they beat Wisconsin twice.
And Michigan. Look,
And who's
listen,
Michigan?
listen.
Who's
I'm glad. Listen, I'm glad that the committee did what they did, but I mean, there was no rhyme or reason why they didn't flip them last week when they beat Texas A&M 50-7. So, listen, that was so big. I mean, Coach O can downplay it, and all these players can be politically correct, and they can say, well, we don't care. We'll play whoever, whenever. No, this is a bye. You have a pass to the national championship game by virtue of playing Oklahoma. You're a 12-point favorite. Their defense looks like a flag football defense that you play in Ancient Athletes League.
Watch it now.
I mean, this is just this is taking candy from a baby for whoever was going to play Oklahoma out of LSU, Ohio State, or Clemson. So, I mean, it's a tremendous deal whether you're 1 versus 2. They could downplay it all they want. This worked out amazingly. Go ahead. A lot of you are going to skip going to Atlanta on the 28th, and you're just going to save your funds for a weekend in New Orleans on the 13th.
Let me just tell you something, dude. I like Twitter. I like to get on Twitter. I like to have fun with it. I saw a tweet go out by Josh Lemoyne, who is a founder and recruiting analyst of Inside the Eye. He came up with some numbers that I thought, just listen to this and tell me what you think is going to happen in the LSU-Oklahoma game. First of all, total offensive rankings, national rank, LSU is number 1 with 554 yards per game. Oklahoma is number 2 in the country at 554 yards per game. Total yards on the season. Listen to this one. This is going to blow your mind, dude. Total yards on the season. LSU, 7,206 yards. Oklahoma, 7,205 yards total.
Mm-hmm.
These offenses are prolific, bro. They put numbers up, and they're so similar. Now, I know Oklahoma hasn't played the same defenses that LSU has. That's the only difference. But it's pretty even, man, when you look at these offenses. And Jalen Hurts has something to prove just like Joe Burrow does.
The one thing I'll say, I don't have the stats right in front of me, but Jalen Hurts turns the ball over more than Joe Burrow, whether it's fumbles, whether it's
oh, my God, you just jinxed it.
Incompletions. He turns
Jesus
the ball
Christ,
over more.
Why would you do that?
Because Joe Burrow, because Jalen runs a lot more than Joe does, so that's probably where all the fumbles will come in. But I Oklahoma will probably get theirs when it comes to moving the football in LSU. But this, to me, it could be like 60-35. You know what I mean? Like, this is going to be like Ole Miss, in my opinion. LSU's going to hang 60 on them, 50, 60 on them, and they might give up 30, 40, but they're still going to win. They're still going to cover the 12.
40. They give up 40 points. That's incredible. I hope it's not a game like that. I mean, I hope it's 60-0, to be perfectly honest with you. If you're an LSU Tiger fan, you don't want to bite any nails. You want to enjoy this, and you want to get an opportunity to play a championship game in New Orleans. Here's the deal. How cool is this? Who did LSU beat to win a national championship in their history? What are the 3 teams?
Yeah, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and
Clemson.
When did they beat Clemson?
1988. I don't know. I don't forget the year, but that's when they won the 3 championships. That's the three teams that they're playing are the teams that they beat, are the teams that were in the championship versus LSU.
Wait, 1988. What are you talking?
Not 88, 58, or whatever the hell.
1958. Got you. Oh, in the Sugar Bowl.
Clemson.
In the Sugar Bowl, they played. That's right.
So they beat Clemson. It's the 3 teams that they got in there still left. It's amazing how the world turns, Ron.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it crazy? I mean, you look at Oklahoma and LSU, their offensive stats, it's like mirror image of each other. And then all of a sudden you look at another stat, it's who's in the championship round, who are the 4 teams, and it just so happens LSU has an opportunity to win another national championship against one of the 3 teams that they had a national championship game against before and beat them.
I don't know. I would rather LSU play Ohio State than Clemson.
Really?
What's your takeaway on that?
I would honestly rather play Clemson.
Okay. Why?
And the reason, I just feel like Clemson hasn't been tested all year long. That doesn't mean they're not a good football team. I don't know if Clemson beats Ohio State. Clemson's got a great quarterback, great running back, couple of really good receivers. They got a good offense and defensive line. but they haven't been really tested all year. Clemson, to me, the reason why I would rather play at Clemson is because the legs on a really good quarterback like Justin Fields and Jalen Hurts, that extra element of saving a possession, saving a sack and creating something and getting a first down when it should have been a loss of 5. That element is completely gone if you're playing Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, he's an athlete, but he's no Justin Fields and he's definitely no Jalen Hurts.
My takeaway on it is I think Clemson's being tremendously undervalued and disrespected, and they're kind of like the New England Patriots, right, in the sense that they've been really good for a while, and they're in a bad division. The New England Patriots, still this year with Buffalo being decent,
yeah, you're right,
in a bad division. So everybody kind of undervalues them. Next thing you know, you look up there in the championship. And I think that Dabo Swinney and this program, and heck, you love ATN. I mean, you're like his publicist. You think he's the best running back in the country, and he probably is. And then you've got a quarterback who next year will be the first pick in the draft. So and a coach and a program that expects to be in the finals and win national championships and all that. Not just happy to be there. So I think Clemson is scary. And okay, they haven't played anybody, so therefore they're super well rested, they're healthy, all that kind of stuff. Whereas with Ohio State, I love the storyline with Joe Burrow versus Ohio State. Love that. That would be what that is what I just can't wait to see. The two transfer quarterbacks and the whole 9 yards.
Trust me, that's what ESPN and everybody else wants to.
Well, they do, but by the way, Clemson's a favorite. I mean, the guys in Vegas have Clemson as the favorite. Now, keep in mind, betting lines are not who they think will win. It's where the action will come in their minds to get it on equal sides. But I don't know. Clemson, man, just scares me from a standpoint of I think they're getting disrespected all year. I think they're extremely good. Everybody thought Trevor Lawrence and them would just put up bigger numbers than they have. I think they're just sitting over there waiting, healthy, quiet, and they're going to handle their business. And I think it's going to be LSU, Clemson, in the Sugar Bowl. I really do. I hope it's Ohio State.
Trevor has proved to play extremely well in big games. I mean, we saw what he did last year versus Alabama. He just took it to a completely different level. I mean, the dude is the real deal. He is going to be the number 1 overall pick next year as long as he stays healthy and continues to stay on the same trajectory that he's on right now. I mean, that he's a proven winner. He's a passer first. He's athletic enough to make plays with his feet, kind of like Joe Burrow. Nowhere near Jalen Hurts or Justin Fields, but still same quality athlete as Joe Burrow, if not maybe a little bit more athletic than Joe Burrow. But he is I really wish he'd cut his hair, though. I think I'm a little over it, the Friday Night Lights thing. He looks like the Mask, the dude from the Mask with Cher a little bit. What was his name? Rocky. He looks a little bit like Rocky. And it frightens me a little bit, to be perfectly honest with you. So he needs to trim it up, get ready for the draft, and it just makes his neck look longer than it has to be, right? I mean, that hair I'm just over it, Ron. Let's start.
It looks like what, Sunshine from Remember the Titans?
No, he's totally Sunshine.
Yeah.
He's a combination of Sunshine and Rocky from the Mask. So that's just being a big guy and big bones, I guess. I don't know what it is, but at the end of the day, he's a special player, and I would rather play him with our cornerback play. I think our cornerback play matches up, especially with Stingley. In a pass defense where even great throws, he's going to have to make great throws in the pocket to take advantage of that LSU defense. Whereas a Jalen Hurts and a Justin Fields, sometimes it doesn't matter how good the secondary is covering guys. That just leads for an opportunity for them to use their legs, and that scares me more than Trevor Lawrence does right now at this point. Based on what they have in the secondary.
He's Joel Davis. You can hear him on Sports Rich TV and radio. We'll take a break. We come back. I want to talk some Saints with Joel. Now we get to the negative part. All positive. LSU on their way to New Orleans on the 13th. We believe OU's just a speed bump on the way to the national championship game. But we will talk New Orleans Saints with Joel Davis and that unbelievably frustrating game. Plus, Trey Ledbetter a little bit later in Southern Fundraising, give you a little peek behind the curtain of what Joe Burrow's life is going to be like off the field for the next year. That's coming up next. Sports Shorts presented by LeBears.
Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information. If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau St. Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase. Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information.
Sports Shorts Radio with Ronnie Rance, Joel Davis, and Buzzy Heidel on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sports Shorts. Ronnie Rance here with you for Sports Shorts, presented by LeBears Casino in Baton Rouge. All sorts of great events coming up over at LeBears. Download the app for free on your phone. You can see all the concerts. I know Aaron Neville's going to be in concert over there and a whole lot more. And New Year's Eve at LeBears. That's the place to be, no doubt about it. Joining me is Joel Davis. We talked a little LSU last segment, everything positive there. That next week we'll talk some Heisman, as Joe Burrow is expected to be named the Heisman this Saturday night. And, of course, a lot of great coverage on ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge as Jordy Culotta and Jacob Hester and others will be kind of embedded in the LSU Joe Burrow family and crew. And there's a special going to be on the radio this Saturday, 5 to 7 p.m. This Saturday. You can hear a special show live from New York City on the Heisman. Joel Davis joining me. All right, so New Orleans Saints yesterday lose 48 to 40.
Wait. Just look. You used the word embedded and Jordy Culotta and Burrow's family all in the same sentence without saying Jordy Culotta has embedded himself into Joe Burrow's family, which he has.
Is he adopted? Will he be like a new family member? Adopted?
He's trying.
Yeah.
He's so trying. Is he not, Ron?
He might be in the will, and we just don't know it.
Dude, I mean, he's working his way to be like the Derek Kanansky to Coach O. It's going to be Culotta to Burrow.
Maybe.
I think he's trying to be his agent.
No, seriously, it might not be a bad thing. He might be the full-time publicist for the Burrows.
It's happening. It's kind of like you remember when Todd Black did that with Shaq?
Yeah, that's right. Rode his coattails for a few years.
It's actually brilliant. Good for you, Jordy Culotta. You're a genius. I'm happy for you because every time I turn on Twitter or every time I turn on Facebook, there's a picture of Culotta schmoozing with the Burrows.
Yeah.
It's like, and they're just as happy to be with him.
They love it.
They love him.
Yeah. Jordy Culotta Burrow.
Right?
That's going to be the new name. Yeah.
When it doesn't work out for Burrow, T-Bob is out, baby.
Yeah. T-Bob doing the show by himself for the next for the future.
No doubt.
Till Burrow's career is over. So
I know you were setting it up.
So 48-46, the Saints lose, and I want to give my 30 seconds on it. Then I'll turn it over to your rant. But and that is that the Saints came into that ball game as the worst 10-2 number one seed in the history of the NFL, and they did nothing to prove me wrong. I mean, Seattle. Granted, I know the Saints beat Seattle over with Teddy Bridgewater, but you got Seattle. Now you got, by the way, nobody's talking about the Packers. The Packers have the easiest route to the number one seed. I mean, because the 49ers are going to lose one more. I mean, their schedule's brutal, okay? They're going to lose one more. They finish the season at Seattle. They take on a Rams team who all of a sudden has some life, something to play for, and they looked pretty good last night. And then they've got one other. Hang on, I'm pulling it up as we speak. Let's see. Standings.
It's a turd. They got 2 tough ones and a turd.
You're talking about the 49ers, do?
Yeah, I'm talking about the 49ers. They have 2 tough ones and a turd.
Okay. The 49ers' remaining schedule is they host the Falcons this week. Now, that's a turd on paper. 40 Falcons just hung 40 this week on Carolina at home. They've played better the last 5 games. It wouldn't shock me if the Falcons went over there and gave them a game. The Falcons are 4-9. I get it, but the Falcons in their last X amount of games, Matt Ryan has done some things. Here's what the Falcons have done to where I think they have a chance. Is all I'm saying. They hang 40 on the Panthers, win by 20. They battled the Saints over there and lose by a touchdown. They hung 29 on the Panthers a few weeks ago. They hung 26 on the Saints. I'm just saying the Falcons have a shot. Okay, have a shot. Maybe maybe they've got a little hangover effect from the 2 big games. But for the 49ers, they've got the Rams at home, and then they go on the road to the Seahawks. I think they're going to lose one of those 2. I really do.
I agree with it. I think they'll lose one of those, but I'm not so sure that the Saints don't stumble a couple more times.
Tennessee could be the problem.
I mean, they have to play. So we keep talking about this bye. We're just talking about this bye. It's always been important. I'm all about the bye too, and especially under the history of Sean Payton since the beginning of time, being a New Orleans Saint as a bye is almost a guaranteed win, right? After a bye week, they come in and just destroy people. Well, think about this year. After their bye, they played Atlanta and got cremated. They got cremated after a bye. And then they had 10 days to prepare for San Francisco, and their defense forgot that San Francisco likes to run on the edges, right? So San Francisco, the biggest reason why they had so much success against the Saints is the missing linebackers. They knew that they were going to miss these linebackers, and boy, was Craig Robertson exposed in this game multiple times with not having the ability to run sideline to sideline. Atlanta has the linebackers that matches up with San Francisco.
Yep.
So I believe you. It could happen versus Atlanta. They have the defense to do it.
But that said, let's just say the 49ers lose one of these games down the stretch. Here's why it's important, okay? There's 3 scenarios here. One, if the 49ers can lose one of the last 3 and the Saints can win out, which is a big if, and I agree. And by the way, the Tennessee game on the road is the one that probably scares me the most for the Saints. But if the Saints can win out and the 49ers lose one of the next 2, yes, we know that the 49ers have the head-to-head over the Saints. But if Seattle can win out and that one loss that the 49ers have be at Seattle, then you got then you've got the 3 teams with the same record, right?
Yep, and then the Saints would.
And then the Saints would win it overall. But what we're not talking about is the Green Bay Packers. And the Green Bay Packers are 10-3, and their last 3 games, they have Chicago at home this week, who had a big win and has some life still.
There's no guarantee they're going to beat Chicago or Minnesota.
They got Chicago at home, Minnesota, but then they finish up with the Lions. But my point is that the Packers went out.
That's theirs.
They're the number 1 seed.
But Ronnie, they're not a great football team. If I have to go on the road to win an NFC championship,
you'd rather go to Green Bay than San Francisco?
I would rather go to Green Bay. I don't give a crap about the weather because you know why? We can run the football. The New Orleans Saints proved yesterday they can run the football, Ronnie. So that's not going to be a problem. On a neutral field, on a grass field, I mean, we actually helped San Francisco yesterday by playing indoors on that turf. It made them faster than they really are. So I think in a grass field, you're not going to see 48 points in San Francisco versus the New Orleans Saints, especially with their linebackers back. But the New Orleans Saints, both of those teams can run the football. I think the game would completely change if it went out to San Francisco. You would see not such a, you were not going to see such a fast-paced game, in my personal opinion, if it's on grass. So the Saints are going to they're built for playing outdoors this year. They are. So I definitely don't want to go to, you know who I don't want to see? I do not want to see the Rams find their way in and us as a division champion have to play them in a wild card game. That, to me, I would rather play in Packerville in an NFC championship game than play the Rams as a 13-3 team at home in the wild card. Oh, my God. That, to me, would be the most frightening thing.
So it sounds to me like you actually come away from this 48-46 loss where the defense was atrocious, never answered the bell at all. And, oh, by the way, this is a continuing theme the entire year. Go back to the Texans game where they let them score in 2 plays. Every single fourth quarter where the other team had a chance, they got it done. Every time.
End of the half, every 2-minute offense, or 1-minute offense, or 30-second offense.
So my thing is, forget all these scenarios. This defense has no gumption when it counts. They do not have what it takes when the chips are on the line. I don't know why we would think all of a sudden NFC Championship on the road, now they're going to hold a lead. I mean, no.
Well,
they're just not good enough.
No, they're not. They're not. They have to get way up ahead. So here's whose responsibility is it to teach technique to these defensive backs? Because it's atrocious. At what point do you start pointing the finger at Aaron Glenn? When do we look at him and go, hey, bro, you're responsible? Because the technique of these – I mean, you look at Derek Stingley Jr. How is this 18-year-old child –
Well, much better.
His technique – are you telling me his father, Mr. Stingley, is a better teacher of cornerbacks than Aaron Glenn? Because right now,
maybe
he must be, because the kid is perfect. If it was me, I'm firing Aaron Glenn, and I'm calling up Stingley's pop. And I'm saying, hey, Derek, you want to come coach our defensive backs? Because clearly you are understood better than Aaron Glenn is. I'm so sick of seeing – you know what? You know who was the biggest supporter of Marcus Williams? Me. After the Minnesota game with the Vikings, I stood by that kid saying, hey, he's the future. After watching him look completely parted in that pass down the middle, I'm tired of seeing that. Why don't he make that tackle on Kettles at the 50-yard line? What the hell is he doing trying to tackle a 265-pound
up high in
man
up in the
shoulders?
Right. Ridiculous.
What the hell is he? All you had to do is tackle him in bounds. They had one timeout left.
Or you know what? I don't even need to tackle him in bounds. Just tackle him. You know, I mean, he's on the sidelines. If you got to push him out, push him out. I don't care. And oh, by the way, the rookie cornerback from Florida,
Gardner
2 names.
Johnson,
Okay,
who
thanks.
shouldn't have been in man coverage in that situation against a stud like that.
Okay, first off, he's in the slot. He runs the little out. Gardner Johnson is beat from snap.
He got picked.
And no, he didn't get picked, Coach.
Look, the outside receiver who was on the line of scrimmage and Kettles is off the line of scrimmage releases, which gives Kettle that one extra step in man coverage, Ronnie.
Well, I felt like he looked like he just got beat right away, and he panicked and he just dove for air instead of just standing upright. Let him catch it. Let him get a 5-10 yard completion. Yeah. Don't just dive because you're in a panic and you got no shot, and now you let him get a 30-yard completion, and then your boy does the rest. You know, I mean,
Ronnie,
just unbelievable. It's so bad.
Defense. Dennis Allen called the defense man coverage underneath with 2 over the top. They didn't want to give up the big play. To me, I mean, it seems logical. It seems like the right play call, but with 30-something seconds and they only had one timeout on their own 30-something yard line. To me, that it's not the first down that's important. It's the clock. The clock is what's important. Why are they playing to stop the 4th down? Yeah, it would have been nice to stop them on 4th down because then the game's over. But who cares if they pick up 5 or 6 yards, right? Because then they use their timeout. They're still within the 35-yard line. They're out of timeouts. They have to get 2 big plays to get down to the 30-yard line. So to me, they played it to stop the first down rather than to work the clock. I don't understand it. It's coaching sometimes. Like, why are we doing a fake punt at midfield in a shootout? The fake
punt on 4th and 18, Coach, when we obviously don't understand the rule. I mean,
it's unbelievable.
I mean, we're going to throw a bomb where we don't understand the rule. because I mean, like, well defended by them. What by the 49ers?
Well defended. Like I stood up and clapped for them after
Yeah,
that play.
that was
I literally stood up and gave them a standing ovation.
Yeah.
How well they are coached.
Yeah, that was very well coached. Now, granted, yes, he was held. Yes, but it was a terrible decision to just punt it, let him get the ball inside the 10 and make him go 90 yards. I mean, like, it's just awful. At that point, that was just so silly. That was a desperate play. If you're going to go for it, then just put Drew Brees back there and make Michael Thomas go 20 yards and throw it to him.
It's a good throw, though. I mean, it was really a good throw.
Yeah.
It's just,
but I mean,
he just wasn't.
I just don't have any belief in that this Saints team is. Look, they're going to make the playoffs and win a division. They won a division, but it's just not. It's not.
They're
I mean, the
49ers
are a really good team.
One and done team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's it. They're one and done.
And by the way, the playoff game will be either the Saturday or Sunday before the national championship game in New Orleans. That's going to be a pretty cool
Fantastic.
weekend. Pretty cool
weekend.
Matter
because they're gonna poo-poo the bed on whatever day.
Thanks for that. I was about to have some lunch until you just said that. Joel Davis, thank you for the time. Appreciate it. We'll see you on Sports Shorts next week.
Bye-bye.
All right. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we'll visit with Trey Ledbetter, the owner of Southern Fundraising, and he's going to take us behind the scenes a little bit of what life off the field could be like for Joe Burrow. We know so much about maybe first, second, third pick in the draft, but what financially will winning the Heisman mean for a guy like Joe Burrow? Well, Trey Ledbetter is in the memorabilia business, and he's going to tell us about that next. Sports Shorts presented by LeBears.
Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information. If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau St. Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase. Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information.
That'll be next segment. Okay, so we'll go through Trey, go to commercial, and we'll do those videos in the next segment.
Sports Shorts Radio with Ronnie Rance, Joel Davis, and Buzzy Heidel on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sports Shorts presented by LeBears Casino in Baton Rouge. If you don't have plans for New Year's Eve, make sure you go to LeBears in Baton Rouge. It is going to be the place to be each and every year, absolutely packed. Edge Lounge is rocking. They have all kind of party favors, and upstairs they always have a great deal. So 11 to 1 up in New Year's Eve upstairs. They got a great band. Your ticket includes alcohol as well, and a great countdown at midnight. That is LeBears Casino in Baton Rouge. Download the LeBears Baton Rouge app for free on your smartphone. Check it out and come join us. I'll be there on New Year's Eve. Joining me right now is the owner of Southern Fundraising, Trey Ledbetter, who does a lot of great work with LSU, Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, and many other charitable organizations throughout the state of Louisiana. He works with Ole Miss, you name it. And Trey, thanks for joining me on the show. The reason I wanted to have you on is to kind of talk about what potentially life off the field could be like for Joe Burrow in 2020. We know he's going to be a first, second, third pick in the draft. We know he'll be on our TVs doing some commercials potentially throughout the state of Louisiana and maybe even a few national spots. But there's other revenue streams and things like that we folks out there don't know about. And I want to, you're in the sports memorabilia world. You've been in it for many, many years. But what does winning the Heisman potentially mean for Joe Burrow in the short term, say in the next year after winning the Heisman? And what does it mean lifetime-wise, financially for a guy like Joe?
Hey, Ronnie, man, I appreciate you having me on. Appreciate you reaching out. Like you said, we do a bunch with LSU and a bunch of different charity groups throughout the greater New Orleans area and Baton Rouge. Winning the Heisman for Joe is obviously life-changing. You said life after winning the Heisman. There's kind of a side that we are involved with, the autograph side, the memorabilia side that we use for retail sales and for charity events and galas. If you attend the gala and you see a silent auction, there's usually a ton of sports memorabilia where a lot of that, comes from companies like ours and comes from private signings and deals that allow the athlete to come in and we pay him a fee and he signs a bunch of our different helmets and balls, jerseys, bats, balls, and that can be very lucrative for the athlete.
There was a picture of you on the screen when you and I are talking. It's you, Ricky Jackson, the New Orleans Saints great, who's a Pro Football Hall of Famer. And I know you've done some work with Ricky and Drew Brees and many, many others over the years. But what is some in the short term, 2020, financially for a guy like Joe Burrow, from sports memorabilia guys like yourself and others all around the country? Financially, is this a $500,000 win? Is it a potentially $1 million year? We're not even talking salary, commercials, anything like that. We're just talking in the sports memorabilia world. That's Sports Illustrated signings. That's helmets signed. That's appearances to come to a card show or whatever the case may be. What is he looking at, you think?
So if you put it in perspective, a lot of people assume or think maybe that these athletes sign a lot for free because of maybe a guy like Drew Brees who signs at training camp. He'll sign 200 or 300, 400 autographs. And there's a major difference between a free autograph and a paid autograph. What Southern Fundraising does and companies like myself, we actually pay the athlete to come in and sit down and professionally hand signed it with an inscription, with a favorite saying or something. And all that costs money. It's not donated or free autograph. So it really just ranges on the athlete and what's going on with them at the time. It's kind of like the stock market, up, down. It could be all over. Fall from grace, meaning a guy could be worth a couple of $1 million in a year for autographs, and then he does something kind of ridiculous or does something in the media that really hurts his character, and all those autographs basically become worthless. So there is kind of a risk when you're doing bulk autographs, and it happens where an athlete, like I said, is on top of the game one day and the next day may do something crazy and ends up no value. And it just depends on what's going on with the team. But it could be anywhere from a couple 100,000 to millions, just depending on the athlete and the time frame. Like Joe Burrow winning the Heisman, if they win the national championship, that is a huge payday.
Is it safe to say that but he's going to win the Heisman this Saturday? If LSU wins the national championship, his value, particularly in Louisiana and the South, goes up even more. The Heisman's more of a national brand. The national championship is like the cherry on top. But is it safe to say that if he pulls off the trifecta, the SEC, the Natty, and the Heisman, that he's looking at $1 million year?
At least, especially on the national scene. You can sell Joe Burrow. Southern Fundraising owns the rights to sell memorabilia on campus. We do all the silent auctions for them. We also do everything for Ole Miss. And a guy like Billy Cannon, a guy like just some of the greats, the Leonard Fournettes, the Ty Matthews, that stuff sells all day long, every day, all day on LSU's campus. I cannot imagine the craze that it will cause when he wins the trifecta. I've got customers reaching out to me on a daily basis looking for Burrow stuff. And I tell people this all the time: be careful what you buy. You don't want to, go on eBay. You don't want to buy something that's not fully certified. Certification is a huge deal in our world. So you want to make sure that it's JSA, Beckett, PSA, or done with a company that does signings and maybe owns the exclusive with the athlete. You want to check that too before just making a purchase. The old saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. You're not going to find a Joe Burrow legit autograph for $200 right now. It's just not going to happen.
So if a guy like Joe or Drew Brees or something, you happen to see him on the street, you're at a restaurant, you got a football in your car, you got a Sports Illustrated on you or whatever, and he just signs it, you're saying that autograph is going to be different than something they would do with, say, Southern Fundraising or some other company where they're doing a private signing.
Correct. Drew Brees is probably your most local, recognized dual autograph guys. It's explained as like a camp auto, so it's a very short scribble scratch, almost unlegible D9, compared to a paid autograph that he's sitting down, he takes his time. Drew Brees is a pro at that, and he signs it with his full DR, BR with a 9. It's very legible. You can clearly tell that it's Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not specific on if Joe's going to have a dual type autograph, but even if you do get it signed in person and you're looking to resell it, I would suggest sending it off to a nationally known company that has the opinion-based matching certificate with the certification and online database that proves it's real.
And what does that cost generally? Like if I'm at home, somebody listening, watching, hey, I've got like 5 Joe Burrow signed footballs that he did for me this year, last year, whatever, and you wanted to send it off to get certified because you wanted to see what the value was on it for a rainy day 50 years from now. What does that cost?
The school of thought is the better the athlete, the more it costs. I've seen companies charge $200 and $300 for like a Babe Ruth opinion or, some of the old school guys. Right. Drew Brees is usually $40, $50, $60, depending on the type of item. Then you got to worry about shipping. Then you got to worry about sending your item off through the mail.
Yeah.
If you get with Southern Fundraising, we usually do it in-house. We have JSA come in town once or twice a year, so you can get with us. Follow us on Facebook, SouthernFundraisingLLC.com, or reach out to us on Facebook, and you can just come through us, and we'll handle that for you as a service.
Yeah, that's pretty wild how it works that way. Let me ask you this: you've done a lot of work with Drew Brees. You've done Alex Bregman. You've done some private signings with him. What's the longest signing you've ever done with somebody? I mean, a private signing. I mean, like 5-6 hours. How many pieces? What's the biggest one you've ever done for an individual athlete?
So Drew Brees is probably our biggest that we've done with an individual athlete. We did over 200 items, and you're going to laugh when you hear this. You would think that takes a little while. Drew Brees finished us up in about 30 minutes.
Wow.
He is absolutely a professional at it. He's done it, his whole career. He's very particular about what he does. He actually takes his time. He cares about the item. He's a super professional about it. He understands our business. He understands what we're trying to accomplish and get done. I'm not going to throw anybody else under the bus, but I've had some great experiences with athletes, but also just as many terrible experiences with athletes just kind of going in there, and it was like we were a bother to them, and they didn't care. They scribble scratched all over the place. They didn't take their time with inscriptions. They didn't write what you say. In our business, inscriptions are something that makes it even more special to our customer.
Sure.
If a customer walks in and says, I want Bo Jackson to say Bo knows, or Drew Brees to say Who Dat Nation, or Choppa Style, we've done all kind of different great inscriptions. That's how we upsell to the customer. and it really means a lot to my business when an athlete takes their time and kind of goes above and beyond, compared to an athlete who doesn't.
Have you ever tried to get with Shaq?
Say that one more time.
Have you ever tried to get with Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq?
I haven't. I think Shaq's in an exclusive deal, so that's one thing that we kind of have to try to work around the agent and the player and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a tough side of our business, is dealing with the agents compared to dealing directly with the athlete.
Do most of the big time guys, basically, you're dealing with an agent? They have exclusives?
They do. Exclusive is kind of the way to go, looking from the athlete side, because it's a guaranteed check.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have an exclusive, you're kind of just sitting around waiting on a company like ours to reach out to you, and it's easier for us to deal with or take a one-time hit with 100 or 200 autographs. I've been in a room where they've had signings with 10,000 pieces. Obviously, it wasn't all ours, but those big signings are nationally run, and nationally, the memorabilia kind of hits the market after that. So,
let me ask you two price ranges. Alex Bregman, I know you've done some private signings with him. What does it, and you get the good price because y'all, you're one of the preferred vendors that are doing a lot of business. Somebody like Alex Bregman, he gets paid what per autograph from a big company? Like what price range is he at now?
Well, I guess it just depends on the relationship that the agent or the group has with the player.
Mm-hmm.
So not to get into too many specifics, but a person like Drew Brees, and this is just a rumor on the street, that he never takes a single dollar for his autograph. It all goes to charity. So it all goes to his foundation. But maybe a smaller tiered athlete that maybe was, had a great career 10 years ago or 15 years ago, they're probably getting 40, 50, 60% of what their autograph sells for in a private setting compared to maybe a Drew Brees. Like I said, he's probably my best example that donates all of his autographs to his charity foundation. So I guess it just depends on the athlete.
So somebody like you're saying they get 40, 50% of what the cost of the item was?
No, 40 or 50% of whatever.
Of whatever their agent charges?
Correct.
Gotcha.
So
gotcha.
I'm going to use an example. Let's say the autograph costs Southern Fundraising $100.
Uh-huh.
I would think the athlete themselves usually take $50, $60 home.
Gotcha.
In their own pocket.
And the handlers and all the other people involved, the event or whatever gets the other 40%.
Correct.
Incredible. Who is the most valuable autograph that of a living U.S. person athlete at the moment? Who was the most valuable? Was it Tom Brady?
Tom Brady is hands down the most sought after autograph over the national market. He's the most expensive. He's the most valuable, and it's only going up by the day between Tom Brady and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan has an exclusive with a company, and if it's not certified by them, then it's probably not an authentic autograph because he just doesn't sign a ton. So Tom Brady's the same way with TriStar. His autographs range from $1,200 to like a wholesale number, all the way up to you can buy jerseys normally now for the $2,500 to $3,000.
Wow.
Jersey.
So you're saying if you take a football, if you were Southern Fundraising, you go to TriStar, say, hey, like I want Tom Brady to sign this football, they're going to charge you $1,200
at least, and
wow.
His stuff ranges too by the item.
That's unbelievable.
So they've got it figured out to make money.
Well, we wanted to have Trey Ledbetter on of Southern Fundraising. You can check him out at southernfundraisingllc.com because, this is life-changing this week coming up for Joe Burrow. As soon as he gets that Heisman Trophy stamp, he's eyeing, especially if they win the national championship, he's eyeing probably $1 million coming to him this year, just this year in memorabilia and stuff. Trey, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Ronnie.
All right. That's Trey Ledbetter. We'll take a break. I was talking to Jacob Hester, of course, on Hanging with Hester, who I do shows with every Monday from 1 to 3 on ESPN Radio. He said the year after LSU won the national championship in 2007, Jacob Hester was the most valuable autograph on that 07 national championship team. You had him and you had Matt Flynn. They were kind of the top two guys. And in 2008, so we're talking 11 years ago, 2008, he made just over $100,000 just in autographs and signings and things like that in the state of Louisiana. This guy, fast forward 11 years later, 12 years later, is now a national, is a Heisman Trophy winner and is going to make maybe $1 million. Incredible. We'll take a break. We'll come back, wrap things up. Sports Shorts presented by LeBears.
Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information. If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau St. Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase. Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information.
Sports Shorts Radio with Ronnie Rance, Joel Davis, and Buzzy Heidel on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome back. Final segment of Sports Shorts presented by LeBears Casino. Thanks to Joel Davis and Trey Ledbetter of Southern Fundraising for joining us. This past weekend was the SEC Championship in Atlanta, and there was a lot of great goings on. It was my first trip over to the Mercedes-Benz a dome in Atlanta, and I'm telling you, it's pretty awesome. Now, it's no Jerry World. Let me tell you, this is a shot from the press box. We were in the end zone, really awesome state-of-the-art press box. I sat there next to Matt Moscona and Charles Hannegriff and T-Bob and the boys, and we watched the game, had a lot of fun, and of course LSU dominated. It was interesting. The Georgia fans were starting to leave about the end of the third quarter, but and it was probably 75 to 25, 75% to 25% as far as Georgia to LSU fans. But the really cool thing about the Georgia Dome is that scoreboard you see right there, the video board. It makes a big circle around the roof of the dome, and this is on the field at the end. Just a little bit left, at the end. The fans were going wild. The confetti was flying. You see all the empty seats that are in the stadium. It was a pretty awesome experience to see Joe Burrow and the LSU fans celebrate on the field. So we'll be back there December the 28th. LSU a 12-point favorite over Oklahoma. I think they're going to roll. Sports Shorts next week, talking Heisman.
Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information. If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau Saint Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase. Sports fans, you don't want to miss the biggest celebration of the summer. It's the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Induction Weekend in Natchitoches, June 25th through 27th. The 2020 Hall of Fame class features legendary sports figures Joe Horn, Nick Saban, Phil Robertson, and many more. Log on to lasportshall.com for more ticket information.